Deivi Garcia is a name that's getting brought up, especially with all the injuries to the pitching staff. Who are some of the guys that we could see with some of these injuries to the starting rotation that we could see possibly this year?
Yeah, the Yankees are in good shape pitching-wise. A lot of their best prospects are a couple years away, but in terms of pitching help, they do have a number of guys. You mentioned Garcia. He's got one of the best curveballs in the minor leagues. He's an absolute hammer. He throws hard. He's not the most physical guy. He's about 5'9", but he's missed bats everywhere he's been. If he throws enough strikes, he could help him. He's already been in AAA. Guy to keep an eye on is Clark Schmidt. This was a guy who was a first-round pick in 2017, even though he had Tommy John surgery a month before the draft. That's how much they valued him. He came back last year, no strings attached, turned him loose, got to Double-A at the end of the year, was throwing a lot of strikes. He's got a chance to have 3 solid or better pitches, and he's been one of the talks of spring training so far among the young guys. And then a third guy to keep an eye on is Michael King, and he was kind of an afterthought when they traded with him. They got him from the Marlins in 2017. After the season, honestly, they were mainly trying to clear roster space, get a guy they didn't have to protect, got some international pool money. He went out and he was spectacular in 2018. Might have helped last year, but he had a stress fracture in his elbow. Came back at the end of the year, made his big league debut. He doesn't have the stuff of the other 2 guys, but he can really command the fastball, and he can run and sink and cut it and do a lot of things with it. So all 3 of those guys are possible rotation fodder.
There's been a lot of hype around Jasson Dominguez, also just 17 years old, but how good could he be?
He sounds almost too good to be true, Heidi. I mean, I've been covering this stuff. I don't think I've ever heard of an international prospect as hyped as Jasson Dominguez is.
Wow.
I saw Brian Cashman at the winter meetings, and he told me they signed him on July 2nd, and already that day, next day, teams are already asking about him in trades. That's how good this guy, you know, on the 20 to 80 scouting scale where 50's average, 60 is plus. If you wanted to be liberal, you could give him 65s and 70s across the board. This guy gets compared to the best athletes in baseball history. He's compared to Bo Jackson, Mickey Mantle, Mike Trout. I mean, it's insane. Plus, I'll keep even getting more hyperbole. All these tools, he has aptitude too. It's not just a guy who can, hit the ball out in BP and run a good 6-yard dash. Plays well in games. His baseball IQ's off the charts. And he can probably play almost anywhere in the diamond. There were some teams that worked him out as catcher. So I cannot wait to see this guy make his debut. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but that's how talented he is.
It does sound ridiculous. I can't wait to see him either. How about some other of their high-ceiling international guys?
Yeah, I mean, they do just an unbelievable job, Donnie Rowland and company, getting international players. They've got a shortstop. We saw him on that top prospect list. Oswald Peraza, I think people are going to really start to hear a lot about him this year. Played in low A at age 19 last year. He's got great bat-to-ball skills. He can run. He can really play defense. And he's not a real big guy, but he's getting stronger. He's got some of the best exit velos in the system. So he's a guy to watch. And then another guy who's going to sound like the pitching version of Jasson Dominguez for a second is Luis Medina. His stuff is crazy too. He's up to 102 miles an hour. He can hammer curveball. It can be, that's plus pitch at times. He's got a well above average changeup. Now his control's all over the place, and that's been the big issue. He kind of found something with his release point toward the end of last year, and really started throwing a lot more strikes. And he's pitched 3 innings in big league camp already this year without a walk. Now he won't be up this year. He was only in low A last year, but this guy's got an unbelievable arm, and it seems like he might be figuring it out.
I mean, the rich just seem to get richer. A deep farm system full of talent and a great roster as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Jim Callis.